Writing an introduction to a research paper can be one of the most challenging part of the paper to write. The introduction announces the research topic and provide context and a rationale of the research work. Well-written introductions set the tone of the paper, catch the reader's interests, and communicate the hypothesis or thesis statement. I would like to invite everyone to subscribe for more updates and research sessions. This session will guide you on how to organize writing your research introductions. You will understand here the process and techniques in writing each part of research introduction, and there are suggestions on some of the easiest possible way of writing the parts of the research introduction. The introduction serves the purpose of leading the reader from a general subject area to a particular field of research. It establishes the context of the research being conducted by summarizing current understanding and background information about the topic, stating the purpose of the research in the form of the hypothesis, question, or research problem, and it briefly explains your rational and methodological approach. The introduction also will highlight the potential outcomes of your study, and it also describes the remaining importance of the paper. Think of the introduction as a mental roadmap that must answer the reader these 4 questions. What was I studying? Why was the topic important to investigate? What did we know about this topic before I did the study? And how will this study advance our knowledge? A well-written introduction is important because, quite simply, you never get a second chance to make a good first impression. The opening paragraph of your paper will provide your readers with their initial impressions about the logic of your argument, your writing style, the overall quality of your research, and ultimately, the validity of your findings and conclusions. A vague, disorganized, or error-filled introduction will create a negative impression, whereas a concise, engaging, and well-written introduction will start your readers off thinking highly of your analytical skills, your writing style, and your research approach. A common question asked at the start of any paper is, where should I begin? And an equally important question to ask is, how do I begin? Think of a structure of the introduction as an inverted triangle of information. The writer can start organizing the information such as presenting the more general aspects of the topic, then narrow information toward the more specific topical information that provides the research context, and finally arriving at the specific statement of purpose and rationale, and whenever possible, the potential outcomes of the study. There are 3 general moves associated with writing a good research introduction. The first move is establishing a research territory. Second is establishing the niche. And third is the occupying of the niche. Let us discuss this specifically as we elaborate the different moves. To start the introduction, the researcher must show the general research area is important, central, interesting, problematic, or relevant in the current situation. Establishing a research area allows the researcher to describe the context of the present study as well as the reason for conducting it. The general research area, as claimed by the researcher as important, problematic, or relevant, must be supported by previous research in the same area to prove that claims are based on studies and not just mere assumptions. To show further details as to how this move can be done, an example will guide the researchers. This introduction started by saying how nutrition is very important in the cognitive development of the child. This started by presenting the general importance of the research area, and this was supported by a related study telling that the research idea established by the writer is proven in some other research. This will allow the writer to support his claim so that the central idea will not sound like bias or anything that is baseless. This another example presented the general idea that the ability to solve problems is essential for learners to understand technical subjects. This is supported by the claims from the previous study to make the proposition of the researcher valid. When there is a support from other research or studies, the proposition will now become strong and cohesive because there is evidence from the previous researches. To know that this move has achieved, researchers must check if the following are established. Were you able to highlight the importance of the topic, or made general statements about the topic, or presented an overview on current research on the subject? The second move is to establish a niche. In ecology, a niche is a term for the position of a species within an ecosystem, describing both the range of conditions necessary for persistence of the species and its ecological role in the ecosystem. In research, we establish a niche by looking how gaps are affecting the different areas and how these gaps contribute to the problems of the research area. When establishing a niche, the problems to be presented must connect from general descriptions to specific and detailed movement. This example allowed us to understand that problems exist in school. The gap was presented logically from general to specific. The presentation of the niche started with a general picture of the school population, down to the specific number of respondents affected by malnutrition, and ended with how the ripple of gaps affect the whole research area. This presentation will allow the research audience to understand the connection of underlying problems and its impact to the area where it revolves. This example also will show how an expanded research gap that started by giving the general picture of the country on its performance on mathematics. It logically describes how the whole picture was affected by the national and local results of the surveys and examinations, and it closes with how the results affect the ratings of the country in science and mathematics education. To establish a comprehensive niche in the introduction, researchers must check these contents. Are the gaps revealed clearly? Are the gaps presented in a logical arrangement? And lastly, are the gaps connected to results and outcomes of the problems? When you have all of this, your niche is clearly established. The third move is to occupy the niche. This is where the researcher will tell the impact of the problem if not given attention. This will also discuss the intent of the research, and this will allow the researchers to provide insights that could tell the benefits of providing immediate and appropriate action to certain gaps. This example presented that performance is affected by nutritional status if not given attention, and that shows the impact of the gap. The intervention will serve as the intent of the research, and the insights wrap up the importance of the research area. This example also presented that if differentiation of instruction is not given focus, there might be problems in the performance outcomes of the learners. This shows the impact of the gap. Therefore, the intent to look closely into classroom practices focusing on differentiation will be the focus of the research area. The demand that every teacher must find changes in classroom delivery wrap up the insights that shows the importance of the research area. To check the completeness of move number 3, the following details might be reviewed. First, did it tell the impact of the problem? Second, did it show the intent of the research? And third, did it provide insights that could tell the benefits of providing immediate and appropriate action to certain gaps? Everyone must be careful in writing research introduction. Here are some of additional things to remember. The don'ts in writing research introduction. Do not write background that is too long or too short. Directly explain the importance of your research topic. Do not be ambiguous in your writing. Personal opinions not supported by data or research is not good. Propositions must be evidence-based. Do not be disorganized, but discuss research themes in a concise and logical manner. Do not discuss unrelated themes. Discuss background information or related studies to support your claims or propositions. Do not forget to provide historical perspective. Historical data is important in the current research. Do not make the introduction too personalized or too opinionated. It must be data-based. To wrap up, let us review once more the different moves of your introduction. Did it establish now the research territory? Did it establish a niche? Did it clear out the niche by giving the right direction of research? If these moves are completed already, then you have now a very good research introduction. Now that you have completed your introduction, you are now ready to write the next parts. Just subscribe for more updates and sessions on writing research.